Welcome to the Condo Pod, brought to you by the Canadian Condominium Institute, Eastern Ontario Chapter. This is your go-to space for all things condo in Eastern Ontario. From governance and legal updates to maintenance, management, and community living, we're diving into the topics that matter most to condo owners, directors, and professionals across our region. Let's dive in. Hey everyone, Mike Lewicki here from CCI Eastern Ontario, and I'm excited today to bring a special feature of our podcast series where we're going to talk about the events and things happening within the CCI world, specifically May 29th, our Kingston CCI Eastern Ontario Conference. It's exciting. Like I said, May 29th, check on our website. Details are there. But today, we are going to talk to one of the panelists on one of our most featured and favorite sessions of any conference we do, which is our legal panel. Now, I think I may have gave away a bit of our guest. Our guest is a lawyer, and it is actually Graham McPherson from Stack Condo Law, based in Ontario, does condominium law in Ontario. And we're going to talk a bit about these legal panels, what they bring to the table, and kind of, to be honest, why a lawyer will want to sit at the front of a room and talk about condo law with a bunch of other condo lawyers in a room full of condo people. I find it exciting, but I also do Star Trek conventions, so I'm a bit odd. So without further ado, Graham McPherson, welcome to the Condo Pod, and thank you for taking the time today.
Well, thank you very much for having me. Happy to be here.
This is fantastic. So also for those who don't know, besides sitting on the board, which is a fantastic volunteer that he does here for CCI Eastern Ontario, you've been involved in condo law when called to the bar in 2018, but you've been involved in it when you were articling since 2016.
Yeah, I've been a day one condo lawyer. At the risk of repeating what I think a lot of people in the industry say, I didn't dream of it as a kid necessarily, but fell into it. Really liked the community. Really liked both, the people on my own team where I initially was, and as I think we'll get into today, really enjoy working in the condo law industry as a whole because my opponents are actually people I get along with very well.
Well, and that's what you and I have talked about as well. And a number of your peers have said, and people in the business, is that condominium law it's around a specific act, the Condominium Act, right? Is what other legislation as well. But then it's the people that make that act come alive. And the fact that, and I'm going to say, I've seen you, I've talked with you, I see how you deal with these processes. You bring it alive, the act, because it's around the people. The act is around the people that live in these condo communities. And the fact that you understand them, you know them, you participate in these organizations because it's a living, breathing piece of legislation, right? So, like I said, I've seen Graham. If you haven't seen Graham, I've seen Graham in a number of different sessions, legal panels, different events, just chatting on the side in the hallways and that. I'm excited to see you because I always like what you bring to the table, your perspective on it, and having your peers at the table gives a unique opportunity for the public to see. So, for yourself, you're gonna make the drive down to Kingston. It's a great day. What kind of draws you into doing these legal panels?
Well, first of all, with respect to Kingston itself, I love Kingston. I went to school in Kingston. Always happy to go back there. It's one of my favorite places in the whole province. But with respect to the panels themselves, I am a big advocate of the condominium community being as educated as it can with respect to, what does the Condo Act say? What are the practical realities of that mean? Because I find that if as many people as possible are as educated as they can be on, what their rights and obligations are, then it can help avoid a lot of disputes. It can help turn what would be major, month-long campaigns into maybe a week-long negotiation, and then you get it done. And I just think that one of the biggest causes of dispute spiraling out of control is just people not understanding what their rights are, what the
Yes.
law says. So I think these panels are an invaluable source for the public for that, especially since, it's one thing to hear it from your own lawyer who you're paying, but it's quite another thing to see a panel of lawyers who are often on opposite sides of each other in the courtroom, sort of all giving their perspective on an issue. And when you can see common ground there, I think it's a really good way for the public to at least see what the legal industry is thinking of a particular issue at a certain time.
And I think that's where, and I'll say this, a shout out. I got, many lawyer friends in different parts of, disciplines in law. What I have found with yourself and your peers at these events, and when I've seen you guys present or talk, is it's not, even though you are legally adversaries, right? The law requires an adversarial role, but not in a negative way. And I mean that where, and I'll put the television aside and their perspective on the legal profession. I've seen you with your peers that we all know, and though you have opposing views or opposing positions, the ultimate goal is to make sure there's clarity around how the Condo Act is understood and enforced and treated. So for yourself, I guess, and this is something I made a note here for myself. What is one thing, if you could pick, if we were sitting at this panel where May 29th, if somebody said, what is one myth about condominium law that the public, it would help them to better understand and know that is just simply a myth about condominium? I know I'm putting you on the spot.
No, that's okay. I think one of the bigger myths of condominium law, and I think it sort of cuts both ways, is with
Mhm.
respect to what the condo can and can't necessarily charge back to owners.
Right.
Be it legal fees, be it administrative fees, be it, cleanup costs, repair costs. I think sometimes, on the condo or management end, there can be a misconception that I don't think we're allowed to charge that back. Or maybe the misconception cuts the other way that let's just charge it all back.
Yes.
And similarly, some owners may be in a situation where they receive a chargeback letter and feel that they have to pay it, even though maybe they don't. Um, Conversely, maybe they get one and they are of the view that, how dare you charge me back in my own home? I'm never paying this under any circumstances
Oh,
whatsoever.
yes.
And I mean, there is no one size fits all answer to what can and can't be charged back. These, at the risk of sounding like a lawyer, all depend on the circumstances. But I think one of the biggest myths, without specifying, which side of the coin it falls
Yeah.
on, is typically just people's strongly held beliefs about what can and can't be charged back.
Yes. And I know it sounds like I'm shilling for CCI here, but that's kind of the thing. But you said it, these panels and the lawyers, it's about educating. So many people come at from a, an uninformed perspective, not because they maliciously do so, they just didn't know there was resources out there to get the right information.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know if you've, for leisure, read the Condo Act, but it's not a fun read. So
I
I
actually have. I've got pocket copies. I love the Act.
Oh, well, at the Star Trek conventions, maybe you guys talk about
We
that,
do,
but
yeah.
I think for most people, it is much more preferable to get this type of information in an easily digestible, everyday language type of way, and I think the legal
That's it.
panel is one of the best ways you're gonna get that.
And to that point, and I have peers in the office where I work, they'll see the Condo Act on my desk. They go, "Hey, that's great." I said, "Look, that's for reference." I said, I go to lawyers. I said, because they understand the spirit, they know, current case law, cat decisions, right? And now you've got the two levels, right? You've got the courts,
Yeah.
you got the private settlement decisions, and then you have the Condo Authority Tribunal. That's three different levels that I may have a current copy of the act. I don't have that current legislation or that working knowledge. And that's where I like the fact you're going to be in this panel to talk to that opportunity.
Managing properties shouldn't be a headache. Meet UpperBee, the ultimate way to stay in control of your properties. Tired of outdated processes and disconnected tools? UpperBee is the all-in-one solution designed to streamline your operations. Integrated property management software for managers and communities of all sizes. From budgeting and accounting to maintenance tracking, board governance to resident services. Everything in one platform. Secure, simple, certified. Thousands of communities are already experiencing the UpperBee advantage.
And I mean, the other thing is that, the act, the legislation, like any legislation, can't really keep up with how fast life moves.
No.
And so, the act may say one thing, but how do we interpret that in the, in the age of AI, in the age of post-COVID? How do all these things interact? And so I think that's the type of information, even if you do religiously read the Condo Act every night, there's just some practicalities of everyday life you're not going to get from it.
And that's that nuance that you deal with. And that's why, for those who are like, you know what, do I want to make the drive to Kingston? Do I need to see a legal panel? No to both, except one, the Kingston condo community is absolutely fantastic. Like, I love the fact that we host two conferences a year, and the first one's always in Kingston for Eastern Ontario.
Same.
The fact that we get our legal panel we get you to come in, take the time out of your day to come in and chat with people in an environment where it's a two-way dialogue. Like this legal panel, there's a Q&A section. The lawyers often also, you guys kind of have this open, lively dialogue, right? And just so people know is they're not actually fighting. It's they're respectfully disagreeing, but these are you work with these lawyers all day, every day, in and out of court, in professional situations. Um, so what is one thing if somebody was to come to this legal panel, what is something you would like them? What kind of questions would you guys like to receive from the public? And I will start with these legal panels are not able to get free legal advice about specific scenarios.
Yeah, I guess it's hard for me to ask, just ask us general questions divorced entirely from anything that's actually going on at your
Yeah,
condo because people's questions are going to tend to be based on what is happening at their condo at the
right.
time. I guess I would just encourage you to be as sort of looking for general rules as much as you can rather than in this specific situation what should we do because myself and other lawyers on the panel aren't going to be able to answer it right then and there, but I think instead sort of asking about how should we approach these types of problems or
That's it.
how should we think about these types of things or what attitude or like kind of n- regular steps should the board or management be taking in X, Y, and Z scenario. I think asking for those sort of framework questions, you're going to get a better bang for your buck in terms of coming out of that conference and thinking, geez, that was useful.
I think, and that's exactly it. And I mean, that's what I usually take out is where's the scenario? What's the solution based? Or, if I wanted to learn about, just generally speaking in the act where liens are, oh, it's in this section and it's around this scenario. And this is the process you'd work with your manager company if all things were equal with the lawyer. So no, that's exactly it. And then other thing about these conferences, and I know we're talking with the legal panel, and it is a full 1 day conference. Get there early, great coffee. We always have amazing cookies.
Yes.
But what is one other part about conferences that I think that people may not think there's a benefit to for yourself? One for me is the hallway conversations in between the sessions, going to get the cup of coffee or the cookie, those conversations. What is something that you as a industry professional, a member of CCI and a board member, what do you also get out of these selfishly? What do you get out of these conferences?
Well, selfishly, and I think it applies to everyone, I'll say it from sort of my perspective as a lawyer first, and then I think it's true for everybody. But there is a lot of value in actually knowing the people in the community that you are working in. There's a lot of value in that, and it's not something you can necessarily quantify. I don't know if there's a scientific metric behind it, but from a lawyer's perspective, at least, I can almost guarantee that if, somebody hires me to help them with a negotiation or a
Mhm.
dispute they're having, be it with their condo or with an owner, if I know and have a good relationship with the lawyer on the other side or the manager on the other side, this thing has a much better chance of being resolved quickly, easily, and cost efficiently. And I think that is probably true whether it comes to, project management, anything in condos, elevator installations, insurance,
Absolutely.
waterproofing. Just when you know the contractors or the professionals that you're dealing with, and when they know you, and when you have that relationship, it just makes everything smoother. It really does. And it is rare, especially in the, era of Zoom and
Oh,
Microsoft Teams
yes.
that we live in now, you can meet with people and have the talking heads experience, and that's fine, but I do think there is something invaluable about the in-person experience and actually
Agreed.
sort of forming that relationship and proving that we are more than our Outlook accounts.
And that's a great point. And many people will say this. You can usually, I judge a conference on three things: the size of the coffee cups at break time, the cookies, and if I come out of the conference energized with an aha moment, or if I come out drained.
Yeah.
If I come out like it was more of a work effort to attend it than not, which is why we've got our conference. I always look forward to the Kingston conference. Um, it, so for yourself too, is what would be a pitch you would make to somebody who is just looking at the condo world and is like, again, what happens at these condo conferences? What would be something you would share with them? What's an experience you get out of it? We talked about the in-person, the connecting. What is something else that they were going to come in that they learned from?
I think, if you're a member of a board, or if you're a property manager, or you know what, even if you're a condominium owner, I think it is hard to say with any sort of exact science what specifically you will learn at these conferences, but I think you will walk away having taken multiple tangible, actionable things that you can take back to either your unit or your
That's it.
board,
Yeah.
and make life a little bit easier with. I think you'll probably meet people in the industry who have something to offer or help, maybe that you know, with a problem you didn't even know you had. Um, and I think there is also value in just being there and by osmosis, sort of absorbing what the community is talking about, what are the issues right now, and being sort of aware of that and having your finger to the pulse of what's sort of buzzing in the community at that time. Um, it's tough to say with conferences, you know, like there's no checklist of
Right.
these are the exact things that you will come out with. But I do think that there is value in becoming part of the community and engrossing yourself in it.
I think that's it. You nailed it on the head. Is you can't give a specific, but it's when you walk in the room, you'll hear conversations about, oh, our common element, oh, we need to change the roofing contractor, oh, we're getting a reserve fund study. It's the osmosis conversation that gets your brain thinking as a director or owner, or a condo manager, or an engineer.
And that's the type of stuff too, especially, you know, if you're a director or a manager, those types of hallway conversations, because you never know. You know, like you said, if somebody else just got their roof done and you are about to deal with yours, you're not going to find the information, the real practical information you need on Google. You're going to
No,
find it in conversations.
and that's it, right? It's the connections of the people. I wish we could spend all day doing this. I know we probably have a few things in the condo space to take care of. It is towards the end of the week. I would like to say on behalf of the Condo Pod hosts and the board, which I guess I'm thanking you on behalf of you as well. Thank you very much for coming in today, talking about the conference, about kind of how you're involved and what drives you into this. Everybody, May 29th in Kingston, check out our website, all of our socials, check out our podcast. We will have Graham back in the future for a full 100% podcast episode. So wait for that, watch for that coming down the pipe. But for all of that, thank you all for listening and watching. And Graham, thank you very much for attending.
Thanks for having me.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for tuning into the Condo Pod, your source for all things condo in Eastern Ontario. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode, and share this podcast with your fellow condo community. For more resources and upcoming events, visit us at ccieasternontario.ca. Until next time, stay informed, stay connected, and keep your community strong.